NBA trade deadline tiers, deal scenarios, outlooks for all 30 teams. This is from Bobby Marks, cap expert. It's one thing you got to know about Bobby Marks. You know the trades are legal. You know the trades are legal. Tier 1, the true deal makers, the Brooklyn Nets have already made two trades so far this season. Cam Johnson, is he going to get traded? I've seen some reports that are like GMs or people across the league think it's a foregone conclusion he's going to get traded. If that's true, that's big. I mean, that's a big trade. Brooklyn's trade to regain its 2025 and 2026 first-round picks from Houston and the trade to send Mikal Bridges to New York set the stage for how Marks would conduct business this season. Yeah, think if they never did that trade. Think if they never traded back for their own first-round pick. Do you think we make a trade or stand pat? The Mavs? I waver back and forth. I was about, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident I am the Mavericks make a trade. A few weeks ago, I'd have told you 2. Like I would have said, I don't think they do anything. I'm now moving to 5 or 6. 50-50. One trade that works. Brooklyn gets Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, a first-round pick, and a swap for Cam Johnson and Keon Johnson. Interesting. Never really thought about Cam Johnson on the Magic. The Johnson twins, that's right. Never thought about that. That's kind of interesting. It feels like a kind of a low return, huh? A protected first-round pick and a first-round pick swap that's protected. The Pistons, keep an eye on cap space. Yeah, the Pistons have $14 million in cap space. So they can take on contracts and be a facilitator, get picks in return for using their cap space for teams that want to dump players. I kind of hope they're aggressive, though, to be honest with you. Like Detroit receives Jabari Walker. Portland gets Wendell Moore in a second. In Detroit... Wait, what? What is this? Detroit gets Kevon Looney in cash considerations. Golden State receives 2031 second. I hope they're more aggressive than that. I really do. Jabari Walker and Kevon Looney. I hope they're more aggressive than that. These are the type of trades I'm expecting this trade deadline, though, by the way. Just being honest with you. This is it right here. Oh, he's going for it. I didn't even see this. I honest to God did not see this before I said I think Jimmy ends up on the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies get Jimmy Butler, and this is why I think this happens. Look at the return. Marcus Smart, Brandon Clark, John Conchar in a first. Is that not exactly what Miami wants? Players who could probably help you right now, but are not on any long-term salary at all. I like it a lot. I'm telling you. Sally, can we see your cat, please? I don't know where he is. Whenever I stream, he does not come out. I don't know what it is. The Butler saga. Wow, he's really going for it. Memphis getting him. Miami receives Marcus Smart, Brandon Clark, John Conchar in a first. Oh, this is the same exact trade. It makes a lot of sense, guys. He is a little camera shy. It's a little strange how much sense it makes. Does your cat disappear when you game too? No. He posts up when I game. I don't know what it is. Like if I'm sitting over here and I'm not streaming, he'll come by. He'll hang out. Okay, what's going on with my fucking green screen? He'll come by and he'll hang out. If I'm streaming, though, it's a no-go. I don't really get it. Jimmy's not going back to mini? No. Hell no. Although it's a very different organization now than it was when he left. New Orleans Pelicans keep an eye on luxury tax and Brandon Ingram. Okay, the Pelicans are going to make a major trade. The statement is not a reaction to their disappointing season, but the business of basketball reality. New Orleans is not making playoffs and is $1.4 million over the luxury tax. I've seen reports that Jordan Hawkins might be a guy who's available. You didn't declaw him, right? He was declawed when we got him. But yeah, Jordan Hawkins is somebody who could be moved. The only problem is he's been really shitty this year, to the point where I don't know what he is as an NBA player. However, they could just dump a couple of these guys to get under that mix. Let's see if they have a potential Ingram. If they have a potential Ingram trade here. San Antonio gets Brandon Ingram, Sir Keldon Johnson, Zach Collins in a couple of seconds. Okay, that's kind of interesting. The Spurs now find themselves in an interesting predicament where they could still most certainly make the play-in tournament in the Western Conference, but they'd really kind of have to make a push and would probably have to upgrade their roster at the trade deadline. 2 seconds. I think that's probably what you're going to see. Like, I don't think Brandon Ingram is getting much of a return at all. And I'd actually be a little surprised if Brandon Ingram gets traded, to be honest with you. But a team like the Grizzlies absolutely, or the Spurs does kind of make some sense. I don't know if the play-in tournament's in the cards for them. You'd have to bank on one of these teams completely falling off the map. I just don't know if I see it. But do they bring in Brandon Ingram and say, "Hey, we'll re-sign you. We kind of like it for us"? I don't know. The Phoenix Suns keep an eye on first-round picks acquired from Utah: Yusuf Nurkic, Bradley Beal, and Grayson Allen. So I'm interested to see if he has a Nurkic getting traded along with that first-round pick for a player that could actually help them out right now. That's kind of where we're at. I'm trying to think. Torrey Craig gets traded back to the Suns. He got traded to the Suns 2 years in a row at the deadline. Maybe we make it another year. I don't think that works contractually, though. Nurkic is at 18 mil. Is there a team out there that will take that money in a first to give up a decently good player? Phoenix receives PJ Tucker and Bones Highland. The Clippers receive Yusuf Nurkic in a first. Interesting. Phoenix receives Gary Harris, Corey Joseph, and a 2025 first for Grayson Allen and Monte Morris. That's kind of interesting. The Suns continue to replenish their draft stock. I don't get why they would trade Grayson Allen either, to be honest with you. No, I think Grayson Allen on the Magic actually makes some sense. PJ Tucker, Bones Highland for Nurkic in a first. My God, that would be such a gross trade. That would be such a disgusting trade. Yeah, this is a cap-saving maneuver here. These are cap-saving moves. The Kings, I think, could make a big trade. They seem the most motivated to go after Cam Johnson based off of the reporting. I wonder if that's who they have here. Yeah, Cam Johnson to the Kings for Kevin Huerter, Devin Carter, and a 2027 protected first-round pick. Cam Johnson kind of fits what they need a little bit, for sure. I think the Nets would say yes to this. You get a first-round pick down the line, interesting young player in Devin Carter, Kevin Huerter, whatever. Maybe we can flip later. What the fuck happened to Herter? He was really ass. Look at his stats. Yeah, no, he's just not shooting well. The wild cards. Off topic, but revisiting 2023 draft. Why didn't Portland just take Amen Thompson instead of Scoot Henderson? I mean, Scoot was the consensus second best guy in the draft. Yeah, you had some people, and they're all taking victory laps as they should, who are like, hey, Amen Thompson is the second best player in this draft. That wasn't like an unpopular take, but Scoot was always going to go number 2. Kings are not trading Devin Carter. I think for Cam Johnson, it's possible. Atlanta Hawks, keep an eye on GM Landry Fields. Let's see a trade that works. Trade Jones straight up for Larry Nance. The addition of Jones improves they need a backup guard bad. This would be interesting. The addition of Jones improves an Atlanta team that ranks 25th in turnovers and has allowed the 5th most points off turnovers per game. Would the Spurs do that? Can Brooklyn get Keegan Murray and Devin Carter in a Cam Johnson trade? No. No way. The Bulls. I like the idea of the Bucks trading for Zach LaVine. I wonder if they have that in here. I do like the idea of it. I think there's ways that it could work out. Have the trade to LA rumors died down? Oh yeah, I haven't heard anything about that in a while. Golden State gets Vucevic and Torrey Craig for Dennis Schroeder. See you. Thanks for coming, Dennis. Kevon Looney in the 2025 protected first. I actually like this for the Warriors. I know that they're pretty steadfast on not giving up a first round pick in a trade like this for Vucevic, but I like the idea of Steph playing next to a center who can stretch the floor a little bit. In Vucevic, I mean, Torrey Craig is somebody who could play rotation minutes for you, I think. And Schroeder just hasn't been very good. And if this is a top 14 protected first, you protect yourself if you miss the playoffs. When Luka comes back, Spencer going to play a whole lot better, so they really don't need Exum. I was kind of thinking if an Exum trade could happen. Just for like a salary maneuver to get the Mavs further away from that. They're $500,000 away, I think, from the apron. To get them further away from that number in trades to make other trades make sense. What value does Exum have to anyone other than the Mavs, though? I mean, they could trade him to a team that just needs a backup guard with nothing in return. I was thinking about that. Chris, okay, so here it is. Milwaukee, Zach LaVine. I promise you guys I did not read this article. Chicago gets Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis, and a 2031 first. Chicago is where Bobby Portis punched, what was that guy's name? What was his name? Mirotic in the face, right? Was that in Chicago when that all happened? Does Chicago want Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis? Mirotic. Toronto gets Beauchamp, cash considerations. Houston gets DeLon Wright and cash considerations. I would love that for the Bucks. I really would. I know it's scary trading that 2031 first, but Zach LaVine is just like this influx of young, athletic talent. Not like super young, but makes your roster younger, makes them faster, makes them more explosive. I do like that. If I'm Chicago, I'm immediately seeing if a team wants Chris Middleton. What about Middleton in a reroute to the Grizzlies? I'm trying to think. Like the Grizzlies, I think they need another scorer. A wing scorer would be really helpful for them. Just someone else who can go get a bucket, and preferably somebody who's done it before. If they swing and miss on Jimmy, is there like a Chris Middleton trade that could kind of make sense? It'd be much cheaper. I don't know. That's just literally a thought that I just popped into my head. I haven't thought too much about it. Mavericks, keep an eye on first round draft capital. Let's see what they got for the Mavs. I'm trying to think if I had to predict it. Could this be a... Man, I really don't know. Like, there's just not a lot that pops in my brain. Could this be a... Please don't be a Kyle Kuzma trade. Could this be a Matisse Thybulle, maybe? Oh, wow. New Orleans receives Dante Exum cash considerations. The Mavs get Javonte Green. I mean, I'm telling you guys, this is about what I'm expecting. This is about what I'm expecting here. I'm telling you, I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be a crazy trade deadline, man. It's not what you want to hear. Use the soundboard, boo. The Pacers are really interesting. It's really hard to think of a Pacers trade. They have so many guys. Their rotation's very deep. They've been playing really well lately. Do they consolidate some of these guys to cut down the rotation a little bit? I mean, Jarris Walker's playing 9 minutes a game. Do they do that? Or do they just let it ride with these guys and deal with it in the offseason? Which is probably going to be what they end up doing. Let's see what they have a mock trade. Indiana receives Rui Hachimura. Oh, wow. Pacers fans, look away. They're doing the Miles Turner to the Lakers trade. Oh, they're doing a Miles Turner to the Lakers trade. That's hilarious. What up, Brett? Dude, they've said Miles might leave every year for the last 8 years, man. I'm just not buying it. Rui Hachimura in a 2029 first-round pick. The Lakers get Miles Turner. The Raptors get Jalen Hood-Schifino in a 2029 second. Doesn't that just fuck you so badly for the rest of the season? Like, they're playing well. You would almost be basically punting on the season. Unless they just think, yeah, we don't think we have a team this year. Which would be surprising to me. Warriors. We've already seen them in this article have a Vucevic trade. I wonder if they're just going to keep that. I know Miles can walk, but who has money this offseason? Is this just the Vucevic trade again? One trade that works, Kevon Looney to Detroit. Yeah, we've already seen these. This feels like it could happen. Something like this. Kevon Looney, trading him and getting nothing in return puts them under the tax. The Lakers keep an eye on first-round picks, and Christian Wood returns to the Mavs. They've got the Miles Turner trade. The Knicks, yeah, let's see what they've got. Let's see what they got for the Knicks. The Knicks are an interesting one. Bench depth and Mitchell Robinson. I'm standing on the belief that, are you going to find somebody realistically at the trade deadline who gives you a higher ceiling than Mitchell Robinson? Yes, Mitchell Robinson's rarely ever on the court, and you can't rely on him to play and be healthy, but you're already taking a risk when you trade for guys. Why not just take a risk internally? Let's see what they've got. Oh, Yabusele for Jericho Sims. That would be kind of interesting, actually. Yabusele for Sims, a first-round pick and a second. Is Yabusele really going to get traded? I have no idea what the Sixers are going to do. Magic, they already had a Cam Johnson trade on here and a Grayson Allen trade for Orlando. Cole Anthony, a first and a second. Would the Suns do that? I know the Suns would get a first round pick in return for this. So they keep trying to replenish their assets a little bit. Doesn't that make them more like... Doesn't that make them significantly worse, though? Suns have until 5 p.m. to decide if they're going to tank this season. They're not tanking this season. The Suns. Why would they do that? Portland Trailblazers. Let's see if they have a Duop Reith or Jabari Walker trade. Jock Landale gets Portland. I've seen this tossed around. Now, I have heard. I was listening to this this clip from a Trailblazers radio show, I think, that was going around, that said, and this could just be posturing, but that the Trailblazers are not trading Robert Williams unless they get blown away in a trade, like first round pick, plural. And I was like, okay, you're not getting, like, that's fucking ridiculous. Now, the Blazers have had this tendency in recent years to hold on to guys a little bit too long. Think about Jeremy Grant. What is his value now, realistically speaking? There were reports last year that they could have got first for him. What's his value now? Next to nothing? But at the same time, I do think, hey, Robert Williams, if he plays, he can be a really good backup center next to Klingon, and they really value his defense and his intangibles. We'd rather have that than 3 second rounders. He is under contract next year. Is he? Or no? Is he expiring? I'm pretty sure he's expiring. Will they trade us to Monty Kamara? No. All right, yeah, he's got a year left at $13 million. You don't necessarily have to trade him. San Antonio Spurs. Oh! I thought this was a Zion trade. Brandon Ingram for Daniel Tice. We already saw this one. That would be so interesting. The addition of Ingram would give San Antonio another building block to pair with Wembanyama. The Spurs have the future financial flexibility to sign Ingram to an extension after the trade or in free agency. What do we think about that? The Spurs would still have so many picks to play around with. Brandon Ingram and Zion. Devin Vassell, Brandon Ingram, Zion, Stephon Castle. Like, that's kind of Jeremy Sohan. Those are your guys moving forward. It's interesting. I do think it's interesting. It's more fun with Zion than Ingram. Zion would be sick. Boston Celtics, this will be a Jaden Springer for nothing trade. Oh my God, Tumani Kamara for Jaden Springer in a first. That's interesting. I hadn't given too much thought to the Celtics being like uber aggressive at the deadline. But it could be a possibility. I was honestly thinking more of like a Torrey Craig type player, if I'm being real. That would be horrible for Portland. Yeah, I don't really get why Portland would do this. The Cavs, Cody Martin straight up for Isaac Okoro. That's actually kind of interesting, to be honest with you, for both teams. I don't know how much of a drop off there is between Okoro and Cody Martin, if there is one at all. And it gets them under the salary, the tax, while the Hornets on the other end get like a pretty interesting young guy. That's really not that's a pretty interesting trade. Bones Highlands and cash considerations for a 2025 second. Sure. They know it's Cody Martin, not Caleb Martin, right? Yeah, but Cody Martin still has some value, though. The Hornets. Cleveland gets Josh Okogie for Isaac Okoro. Interesting. Oh. Charlotte gets Chris Middleton and a 2031 first for Miles Bridges. That trade just feels icky to me. I really don't know if there's a team in the league that would trade for Miles Bridges. If the Bucks offer this, I think you take it 100%. 100% you take this. Toronto Raptors. Denver gets Chris Boucher. Toronto gets Zeke Naji, Conchar, and a 2031 first swap. Fuck you. This was the trade I was thinking about in my trade deadline predictions. Is Chris Boucher to the Nuggets for Zeke Naji and a first. Fuck off. If the Bucks offered that, you'd take it. If I'm Charlotte and the Bucks offered me Chris Middleton in a 2031 first, that's going to probably be a very valuable pick in a potential trade down the line for Miles Bridges. Yeah, why? Why? Why not? Oh yeah, not definitely not straight up. No, definitely not straight up. The Jazz take on Zeke Naji's contract for a right to swap first rounders in 2031. What do they have the Wizards doing? Do I even want to know? Washington gets Mitchell Robinson in a couple of seconds for Jonas. I don't know how I feel about that from the Knicks side of things. Yeah, I really don't like that much at all, to be honest with you. I mean, if you're the Wizards, sure. Yeah, sure. Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma for Chris Middleton and a pick swap in 2029. God, any Kyle Kuzma deal just feels gross. This would be quite the downgrade from some of the other Chris Middleton trades we've seen. Honest to God, and I know Chris Middleton looks a little slow, I really do think I'd still rather have Middleton than Kuzma, unless this is just a pure cost savings trade. Denver Nuggets, Conchar and cash considerations for Seth Curry. God. Is this trade deadline going to be boring as fuck? Kyle Kuzma for Chris Middleton and a protected first. That feels so gross to me, man. I just can't. The stench of Kyle Kuzma is so strong, man. The loser stench. What do they have for the Timberwolves? Do they have a Julius Randle trade here? Torrey Craig for Leonard Miller. God, this trade deadline is going to be so boring. Championship dreams, but shouldn't make a big swing. 76ers. Championship dreams? Yabusele for Jericho Sims in a couple of seconds. That one's pretty interesting. I'm going to be real. For the Knicks. The Houston Rockets. The temptation of the big swing. I wonder if he has them getting someone. Oh, Colin Sexton and Patty Mills for Jock Landale, Jay Sean Tate, and 4 future second rounders. Colin Sexton, huh? Interesting. Yeah, the Mavs trade was Exum for Javonte Green. Hadn't really thought about Colin Sexton potentially on the Rockets. He's got that dog in him. We know that. I don't know how much I love this one, though. Thunder, do they have the Thunder making a big trade? I've completely walked back the Thunder making a big trade. Oh, they've got them. I like it. They've got them pulling a Utah Jazz. And they've done this before, though. Connor, 13 months. Lost my cat to cancer on Friday. Your content helps. Oh, man. I'm very sad to hear that, man. No cat deserves that. Happy to help cheer you up. All cats go to heaven, at least. So in this trade, the Thunder get the 2031 Milwaukee first for 3 firsts, giving the Bucks a little bit more wiggle room to maneuver. Kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. I could definitely see that. What's your opinion on the Warriors jersey retirement they announced? Andre Iguodala's makes sense. He was there for their dynasty.